Hello, everybody, and welcome to Agree to Disagree on Zoom once again.
Woo!
Dean Gutic, alongside with me is Noah Schwartz, Jack Casello, and Aidan Chard. Today, we're going to be talking about the NFL Draft, a recap of the NFL Draft, the virtual draft, which I thought was ran pretty smoothly. What did you guys think of it?
Very well done.
Loved it. I was surprised. I only watched the TV broadcast of the first round, but I was honestly surprised that there were no major glitches or malfunctions.
And
I gotta point out one thing. One of my favorite parts about this draft, in particular, opposed to the other drafts, is how normally, especially in the earlier rounds, we love to focus on the guys who weren't drafted yet. We love to show camera angles of guys just sitting in the green room all nervous. I liked how we focused so much on the guys who were actually picked and what teams they'd be on and how they would fit into the schemes of whatever team they got drafted by. I liked how we didn't focus on the guys who were still waiting. We actually focused on the guys who at that point had gotten drafted, which to me was
I
really
agree.
important.
Give them their time in the spotlight.
yeah, I agree with that. But also the thing I liked about it is that I think the picks were a little faster. I feel like they usually get 10 minutes. I think they lowered it to about 7, it kind of felt like. Also, I like that they had the screen and we still got the boost for Roger Goodell. That was a must.
I thought that was a bit
And
campy.
It was ran smoothly. They did this really
Here's
well.
the thing. I liked that Bud Light did that, had people send in boos, and I liked that Goodell posted that message asking people to boo him.
Yeah, that was cool.
But I think it was too campy having people on the screen cheering behind him or booing him and him being like, come on, you guys can be loud. I just thought that was so stupid.
And it doesn't matter. He ate an entire jar of M&Ms in 24 hours. It was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen.
No, that was over the 3 days. That was over the 3 days.
I love how he
No, it was over 2 days, I think.
No, I saw that on day 1 he had that.
Yeah,
and then
he had it on day one.
Oh, okay, then it was over 3 days. But still, he chowed down on those things.
I could do that.
I love how he he has his collar, and the next thing you know, as the days go on, he goes into his t-shirt and just gets comfortable and lays back in his chair.
Yeah, I've loved looking at those pictures of him just chilling, fully laid back in the hand behind his head on the.
I've never liked Roger Goodell more than this past weekend.
Yeah, he's just all right, this is the 4th round.
100% agree.
All right,
That was-
episode.
The highlight was Roger Goodell doing the Tootsie Slide with Jerry Judy. Oh my God!
All right, so what are some picks that shown?
What I was going to ask you guys, what picks surprised you besides the huge shocker in round 1 that known as the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, you want to get into that, Dean?
Yeah, I'll start.
All right, so let me take this away. So for those who don't know, my favorite quarterback in this draft, Jordan Love, got drafted by the Packers. I felt bad for him because he didn't look too thrilled, and it's here's the thing with Love. I like that he's stepping into a situation with Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams, but a guy like that who's going in the first round is not going to want to sit on the bench for 4 years or whatever you want to say. That's the type of guy that's going to want to come in the game right away and start right off the bat. I feel like a team like the Colts held. Aidan, you might not like this, but even the Saints would have been better than the Packers. Drew Brees had a year or two left.
Totally agree.
Soon to be Taysom Hill, in my opinion, 30-year-old Taysom Hill was not the answer. I'm sorry.
Jameis, we got famous Jameis.
Did get famous Jameis.
Jabu.
But I feel like Jordan Love.
So excited to see that in action.
It's a complicated situation, and this could be another Rosen situation that he's walking into.
Yeah. But I'm gonna switch it up on you for there. I'm gonna quote Aaron Rodgers on what he once told Green Bay fans. RELAX. Relax.
Yes.
How did people react when the Packers drafted Aaron Rodgers when they still had Brett Favre?
But Brett
Here's the fault in that argument.
Favre only had a year or two left in him.
Here's the fault.
5 years. What are you talking
Jordan
about?
Love isn't going to be Aaron Rodgers. It's not going to happen.
He's still going to be good, but he's not going to be another
Still going to be
Rodgers.
good, but also no one's going to be Aaron Rodgers, but he's still going to be good. And this is how
So
the
I
Packers
can name
work.
at least
They always get ahead.
15 quarterbacks
Always
that are
have
better
a
than
plan.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers
he knows.
was projected by some people to be the number 1 player in that draft. It ended up being Alex Smith, which was obviously a mistake, but nobody else needed a quarterback that year, so Rodgers fell. But he could have been the number 1 quarterback prospect. Nobody, except for you, Dean, pretty much, was arguing that Jordan Love was the best quarterback in this draft because it wasn't what people thought.
Hey, I did say Joe Burrow was the best in the draft.
But also,
Right.
there was mock drafts of Jordan Love going to the Chargers. There were mock drafts with him going top 10.
fine.
If he
It
went
wasn't
to the
the number one
Chargers,
guy. And you don't trade up to get a quarterback when you have a guy who's one of the greatest 5 quarterbacks any of us have ever seen, is going to be a Hall of Famer, pretty much unanimously first ballot, obviously.
easily.
And is the most talented quarterback outside of Patrick Mahomes that I personally have ever seen. So he's amazing. I'm a huge fan of his, obviously. But to say that you don't even take a receiver in the entire draft, this was the greatest receiver draft.
Yeah, that's the problem.
They had Denzel memes right in their laps,
Exactly.
right there.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
Even if they went at a different – I'm not saying they should have gone quarterback in the first round because I just don't agree with it. But let's say they went a different position or maybe defense or something in the first round. You still have second round to pick a receiver. You could still trade up into another round, like a second or third round to get a receiver, and then you can pick receivers late just in case one of them sticks and happens to become really good that you pick on the third day. But to not pick even one, it's criminal. They have sabotaged Aaron Rodgers so badly. They have set him up to fail. I don't think the Packers will make the playoffs this year, even though they're a playoff roster, because I think the dysfunction and drama on this team from day one that Gutekunst and LaFleur created is going to be too much for Aaron. Even for Aaron, it's going to be too much.
Pair that with the fact that the Vikings might have had the best draft or one of the best drafts, especially the first round. I mean, having Justin Jefferson fall into their lap at 22.
Exactly.
22. That is ridiculous for Justin
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson to fall that far. But, being able to get him, and then, of course, they got the inferior Jeff Gladney, and they had some nice picks over the next few days. I mean, they bolstered their O-line. They got some good defensive players. I think they had a lot of picks. And I think that really, is going to put them in contention. They might have lost Diggs and Rhodes, but they drafted solid replacements for them. So
the Vikings had the most picks in this draft. They had a whole list of picks, and they utilized all their assets perfectly. You couldn't have utilized your assets better than the Vikings did in this draft.
Yeah, I agree with that.
To set yourself up to beat Aaron Rodgers now.
Going back to the Packers, I think I'm going to say 3 things here. One, this secures a backup quarterback, but let's just say Aaron Rodgers in a lot of seasons.
Love is not a backup, Jack. Don't say that.
I'm saying for this season he's gonna be.
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers had plenty of injury history. 2017, 2018, 2013, and I could probably say one or two more seasons. He has had injury problems, so it's not the worst case scenario to do that. And also, this could potentially secure their future. He'll be mentored by Aaron Rodgers. But the biggest thing I like about this, I think this is going to put a chip on Aaron Rodgers' shoulder. He feels disrespected. He needs to go out there and prove them wrong that I'm going to be here for as long as I can. And
I'm
it'll put him back into MVP form.
Yeah,
also,
I'm with you, but I'm a little bit. I
That's
disagree with the way that I think it's going to happen. I agree it's going to put a chip on Aaron Rodgers' shoulder, but I think it's going to hurt him more than it's going to help him. It's going to make him play angry. Aaron Rodgers does not play good angry. Aaron Rodgers plays good when he's calm and cool and he can be in his own mind. This is going to get him angry, and he's going to play maybe the worst season of his career.
When have we seen him angry?
Other times, he's gotten upset at receivers before, and that was when he had better receivers than he's got now because he's got Devontae Adams and nothing. I like Funchess, but nothing.
They drafted some tight ends.
Yeah, tight ends don't win games.
They drafted
tight ends catch passes. Tight ends don't win games.
Yeah.
Another weapon.
In this draft, especially, you needed to get guys who are explosive playmakers because this is what the draft had a ton of. And there were guys taken probably in the third round that other years were second or first round picks just because there were so many receivers. How did you not get your hands on one? And then you go ahead and take a running back in the second round, a tight end after that. You pick a quarterback in the first round. It's like you went at every single position except the one you actually had a need at. It's just a sabotage, Aaron Rodgers.
I'll say this before. I'll say this before.
Plenty of positives and negatives, but you're not going to truly know how good this pick was until we see Jordan Love get out there and how he performs.
Well, they're not going to win the Super Bowl, so it's automatically a negative for the next 3 years.
Here's the thing with the Packers and their draft. I think they easily had the worst draft. You could definitely put them on that.
I agree. They should have had a receiver. I'm not saying
who the Packers got. I like A.J. Dillon. I like Jordan Love. I like the players that they got. It just the team that they're heading to makes no sense. That's the problem. And not only that, like Noah said, it was 5 rounds, or let alone the whole draft. A stacked class of wide receivers. and not one you select, which is
Their
absolutely embarrassing.
second round pick was a running back.
Yeah,
And
but
on that, a running back from Boston College.
I like A.J. Dillon, but I think he's going to the wrong team, just like Jordan Love
But
is.
also, the running back pick, the only way I thought that was a terrible pick, the only reason I can possibly understand it, and I hope this is not the case because the Packers would be stupid to do this, because they have three key guys that are coming up on contract that need new contracts: David Bakhtiari, Kenny Clark, and Aaron Jones. So I feel they got to let at least one go. So this perhaps that's the only reason. It's not a smart pick. I'm not saying it's a smart pick, but that's the only way I can see them looking at it.
You know,
Let me pose a question to you guys. So you look at the Packers season last year, right? And they lose 2 games outside of the 2 San Francisco blowouts. They only lost 2 other games all year. You look at the Niners in this draft, and they obviously got a lot better. They got Javon Kinlaw. They added some weapons for Garoppolo. So they did a lot of stuff, and they did really well. I thought they had a really nice draft. The Packers only got worse. Now the gap that was between them is only farther. And now the Packers, where they might have been the second team in the NFC going into the draft, you got to look at them now as being passed up by maybe Dallas, who had a really, really good draft, by the way.
I think Dallas had the best draft.
I hate to say it, but the Cowboys won the draft.
There were other teams. So I was just really upset by the way they treated Aaron. It's just embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. It's disgraceful.
Minnesota is right on their heels.
An interesting scenario, right? So you're Matt LaFleur. I have to think that either one of 2 things or both has to have happened for LaFleur to draft Jordan Love in the first round. Either he sees something in Jordan Love and truly believes that he's going to be as good or better than Aaron Rodgers is, or there is some conflict between LaFleur and Rodgers. And in either of those cases, I could see a scenario where instead of trying to win the championship with the team that you have now, trade away Aaron Rodgers, get massive return from him. You can get whatever you want from Aaron Rodgers. You could get an amazing wide receiver. You could get 2 or 3 first-round draft picks for him.
Not the craziest thing we've seen.
So
I could have it
away. You start Jordan Love, and you have whatever that return is back for him.
Yeah, especially, it's very often a lot of legendary quarterbacks don't retire with the team they played their whole career for. Joe Montana, Brett Favre. I'm sure the Vikings are getting Aaron Rodgers jersey size ready.
Brady.
Tom Brady.
Example.
So, I have to believe, and even if that's not the Packers' intentions, and even if there was a good relationship before this, I have to believe that there's some tension now between LaFleur and Rodgers.
Yeah.
And we might see some of that on the field this season, like we saw with McCarthy.
Yeah.
How many years do you guys think Aaron Rodgers is in a Packer uniform?
2 to 3.
I think
3.
How many years left does he have in his contract?
5.
Yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah,
5 years left. I see probably 2 years. You don't draft a quarterback in the first round just to let him sit out his rookie contract.
Agreed.
Yeah.
He's not going to want to sit out for 2 or 3 years, even then.
Yeah. Another pick that I found very questionable, and I want to hear your guys' opinions on this, was Jalen Hurts to the Eagles.
Oh yeah.
That was a low blow to Carson Wentz. Okay, I read this on Bleacher Report that they're going to use a 2 quarterback offense, but I don't know if you'd want to choose that type of guy in the second round to use that type of offense. I feel like the Eagles are trying to replicate what the Saints are doing, except the Eagles are doing it watered down. The Eagles are doing it worse.
Guy.
No, yeah, I had a friend. I was talking to him. I have a friend who's an Eagles fan who, as soon as I saw that pick, I was like, all right, are the Eagles just trying to copy the Saints here? Because they're not doing a very good job of it, I don't think.
Yeah.
They don't have – there's something about Taysom Hill that's just that little bit of a spark. I don't know. And also Brees is miles ahead of where Wentz ever will end up.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yes. One other thing I want to point out about the Eagles, I saw in their undrafted free agent signings, they actually signed the former Arizona quarterback, Khalil Tate, who is actually probably better at doing what Taysom Hill does than Jalen Hurts would be.
Yeah, it's interesting. The only other concern the only 2 other things. One, I got to say that they're probably just watching out for Carson Wentz's injury problems. The guy has not played healthy in 3 years. He has not been able to play every single game for 3 years. So that's an eye-opener. But another eye-opening move that really surprised me was that the Eagles and Cowboys made a trade. You guys
Was
see
it like
that?
the first trade in 10 years or something?
I thought the Eagles had a weird draft. I thought Justin
Very
Jefferson was
strange.
an obvious candidate for them in the first round, and they ended
Me
up going
too.
with Jalen Reagor, which I really
I
didn't
predicted that.
They had a weird draft, and then they went out with Hurts, like we just talked about. I wasn't quite sure what Doug Peterson was doing this past weekend, but I guess he really likes the guys that he got because he went with a lot of speed, and they ended
There's
up
going to be a
trading-
lot of speed on that Eagles offense.
Yeah,
Even
that's
Marquise
gonna be a lot.
Goodwin.
Yeah, they're remodeling the offense a lot because last year at the end of the season they just did not have enough weapons. So I guess anything they can give Wentz is better than what they had.
No, for sure. Like, I mean, especially the way the Seahawks played last season, when they in the playoffs against the Eagles, had you had somebody legitimate starting against or playing against them once Wentz went down, do the Eagles win that game? Who was it? It was McCown, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
If you have a quarterback that's not named Josh McCown playing that game, maybe that's a win for the Eagles. They might advance to the next round.
And plus, don't they still have Nate Studfeld? I thought they love him.
Yes.
Didn't McCown play with the torn hamstring?
No.
No, McCown played with an injury against the Seahawks.
He
How?
might
He-
have.
You're right, Dean. He did. He played with
Did he
He
go
tore his
into that
hamstring.
injury? Did he go into the game with that injury?
No, I think he suffered it at some point, but they didn't have another quarterback active.
Yeah.
And he played through the whole thing.
Yeah.
No, McCown. Don't get me wrong. McCown's a fighter. He's one of my favorite journeymen of all time.
Me too.
He's such a great guy to watch.
Yeah.
But he's not. There's a reason he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Speaking of weird drafts, what did you guys think about the Patriots not taking a QB?
Oh,
They were-
Oh.
They don't also correct me if I'm wrong. They didn't also take a wide receiver.
Yeah, that was
one-
weird to me.
Tight ends though, didn't
that
they?
was just stunning.
The last
What?
draft that the Patriots took 2 tight ends in was the 2011 draft, where they drafted 2 of the greatest tight ends ever to play the game, Gronk and Aaron Hernandez.
Oh, God.
And yes,
Oh,
Aaron
no.
Hernandez would be considered one of the greatest of all time if he did not have an unceremonious end to his career
And life.
and life.
Wasn't a moron.
But I mean, I thought it was interesting drafting 2 tight ends when wide receiver was clearly a bigger need, and drafting a 24-year-old Division II safety
Very strange.
in the second round with your first pick.
I gotta say, when the end of the third round came and the Jets made that trade with the Patriots, I was convinced they were gonna take like one of Jake Fromm or Jacob Eason, one of the
Yeah,
two.
I totally thought that. Oh
I
my
was like,
God.
if this
Me
guy is
too.
the next Tom Brady, I am gonna shoot myself because the Jets had a chance to use that pick on whoever they wanted and decided to trade it.
A Jets
and
draft
I
pick was
can't
used
talk
to
about
draft
that.
Tom Brady.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it really?
Yeah, it was in the Belichick trade. The Jets got like 3. I remember that year. The Jets had 4 first-round picks in that year. With the freaking Jets' 6th-round pick, they got Tom Brady. It was
And did they
handpicked.
draft anybody good?
Yeah, they drafted Jonathan Abraham, but they had to trade him. He's could be a Hall of Famer, I would think.
He's a good player.
Yeah, they had drafted Chad Pennington, who's not great, but he's a very solid quarterback. He's the only guy to beat Tom Brady for the division.
All right, you want to talk about our own personal teams and how we thought each did?
Sure.
I
Yeah.
would love
Just
to.
do it.
So I'll start with the Jets, I guess. I actually liked what the Jets did for the most part. I thought some of the picks were a little interesting. I know we talked on our text group chat the other day about the punter pick. I did not realize that Lachlan Edwards was not under contract anymore after he played really well the last few years. So that was a little surprising to me. But the more surprising pick was actually the quarterback. I think his name is Morgan.
James Morgan.
Yeah, Florida International. In the 4th round, I think they took him in.
Yeah.
And it was a little strange because not that the Jets don't have a need at backup quarterback, but
That high.
yeah, but that high and Fromm was still around, right? They could have
Yep.
taken Fromm at that point, so that was
No.
a little surprising.
Yeah,
What'd
but
you say?
I'm gonna just give my opinion on this. I'm actually okay with the Jets taking James Morgan there, especially with this being the main reason. Because with the Jets, you never know how they're gonna play, and with Adam Gase, if he hinders Sam Darnold, even if he's not playing great, the last thing you want to do is create a quarterback controversy. You don't want everyone against him, and because they'll be demanding to put Jake Fromm in there. So I actually think this is okay, and I'm
Yeah,
okay
but,
with
like,
it.
The way Darnold's been playing.
Darnold played decent last year. He had a couple bad games.
He also, got mono.
Yeah, but like overall, from his first to second year, he got better.
And Jack, they did make some good picks. The Bryce Hall pick was loved by.
That was great. That was a great pick. I loved.
No-brainer.
One of the best picks of the draft. I love that one.
Yeah, Denzel Mims. Dean's gonna like this. I love that pick, but also I love his I looked up on YouTube. Like you can listen to the GM make the call. You could hear them. He reminds me of one of the Clippers in Pat Beverly. He's a dog. The first thing he said to me, Joe Douglas said, "I'm looking for a playmaker. Did I find one?" He said, "Yes," and every other team is about to pay. Hungry, and I like it. The Mekhi Becton pick was a little surprising. I thought they were going to go Wirfs, but JD
in the third round was also surprising. Although I've heard they may move him to corner.
Who, Ashton Davis?
Yeah, Davis.
But I think his biggest.
He's played some snaps at corner in Cal.
Yeah, but also his biggest part of impact. I think he's going to be our returner, both kicking and punting.
And then they took a running back from Florida. Maybe he'll help out as Bell's.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad pick. I like that.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to remember what else that they did. Oh, they
got Zuniga.
Yeah. Oh, Zuniga. He's one. He was apparently a first round possible or maybe second round talent a year ago before he got hurt. So maybe he'll be an impact pass rusher. And
he was already quoted saying he's going to be the steal of the draft.
But Jack, we are cursed though with third round pass rushers from Florida getting taken. Remember?
Yeah, that is true. But overall, for the Jets' total draft, I give them an A-. The only things I would have liked to have done better, I would have taken one more receiver, and they still have to figure this out because I'm still very nervous that this is going to be the case. They still need to figure out what they're going to do at kicker. Brett Maher is the kicker right now, and that just makes me nervous. Also, two more things about the Jets. I just saw they picked up the option on Jamal Adams, his 5th year. So now they got him locked up for 2 years, but hopefully they can get an extension done. At least it shows they want to keep him.
Yep.
And last thing I said, the punter, like you were, I was a little surprised when they took him. But apparently when I was listening to everybody on ESPN, they all make it like he was the best punter in all college football. He's got power, and they think he could be a Pro Bowl punter. So if that's the case,
I like the Cuse punter.
Oh,
yeah.
boy, I'm very afraid.
He's a man.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Pin me
like
inside the 20? Whoa.
What? No, I didn't hear that. What'd you say?
I said every year, Dean mentioned the Syracuse punter that got drafted. It seems like every year that happens. Syracuse never gets anybody drafted except their special teams guys.
Every year. Got some good they got Alton Robinson to the Seahawks.
I feel like
since the one pick.
Since Marvin Harrison and
Alton Robinson,
they really haven't had anybody special.
So, Aidan, you want to talk about your Saints?
Oh, I would love to talk about the Saints. Listen, this is one of the weirdest drafts I'd ever seen. We came in with, 7 picks in the draft? And we decided to trade away 4 of them for a third-round pick, which makes no sense to me. There's no way
they got there. I think it's a perfect fit.
I love Zach Bond.
Yeah, that's a perfect fit.
No, it was for Troutman. Adam Troutman.
Troutman,
who I think, don't get me wrong, I love our first 3 picks. I love them, but the fact that we traded away a 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th for a third-round pick, for a late third-round pick too, that seems a little bit wrong to me. Something about that just doesn't seem right, and I don't know what was up. But outside of that, I like the Troutman pick. I think he's got great hands, and he'll be a good backup to Jared Cook. I like us taking Zach Bond in round 3. We needed a linebacker. We lost AJ Klein. Alex Anzalone is pretty injury prone. So, it's nice to have some depth there. And then our first round pick, Cesar Ruiz.
That really surprised me.
I didn't.
Because Eric McCoy was pretty good.
Eric McCoy was great his first
season. They have a huge need at wideout. I thought that was obvious that they were going to take a receiver.
I'm very torn on the pick because I think Ruiz is going to be a great player. I think he will greatly benefit our team. But if there's an area that the Saints did not need to improve from last season, it was offensive line. I mean, Cameron Tom is okay. I think he's our left guard.
It's Pete.
No, Pete's our. Oh no, yeah, Tom replaced someone. No, Cameron Tom came in as a sub when. But even so, Pete, who we just paid, Warford, who made the Pro Bowl a couple of years ago.
I think it's the best
Ramsey
combination of
and
tackles.
Armstead, two of the best at their position. So the only player who he's really going to be competing with is our second-round pick last year, who played well.
Yeah, I thought he was very good.
So it doesn't make sense when Jordan Love was available, when, Mims was available. There were so many receivers available. Or we could have traded back. It just doesn't seem like the ideal pick.
So let me ask you, Aidan, what do you think they're gonna do at the third receiver spot? Is it going to be Traquan Smith?
I like Traquan Smith. I like him a lot.
I like
Me
What?
too.
I like Traquan.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think he's a great receiver. I think he has a lot more potential in him than what the Saints have let him have. He just hasn't played a lot of downs because, most of it is dominated by Thomas and Ginn. But this season, I think we're going to see a lot more of him, and I'm excited to see a lot more of him. The other thing, just to keep in mind, the Saints have always – Kamara is a receiving back. He's a great receiving back, so we can always put him up on the line. And then we have Cook, who's one of the best receiving tight ends in the league. Not better than Kittle or Kelsey or Ertz, but he's definitely up there, and he's got great hands. So I'm not too afraid of our receiving. I just think that it would have been nice to add another big, fast guy.
Okay.
And it's weird to see a guy from like the A10, a guy from Dayton, go into the NFL draft and go this high.
Yeah.
But the guy's talented. I really like that pick.
So
I think he was really much the second tight end ranked by most people right after Komet.
Yeah.
Right in the top 3.
Yeah.
I'm very, very interested to see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
All right, Dean, you got a couple of minutes before we got to take a break, but maybe you want to start off with your Bills?
All right, so I was actually expecting less from the Bills because I thought they don't have a first-round pick. Knowing the Bills' history, I don't trust this team. But first of all, the A.J. Epenza pick, I loved that pick so much.
Yeah, I wanted the Jets to take it. When they traded back, I was annoyed. I'm like, they just lost him.
He played in the Iowa's a great defense. He played in the 4-3 in Iowa. The Bills play a 4-3. I thought right away he's going to fit perfectly on the front four of this defense. He's going to be in a great situation in that defense under the defensive mind and Sean McDermott. And then they get Zach Moss. They have somebody at speed like Singletary, and now they're going to get a power back, a guy who's a good – Zach Moss is a good running back. This running back class was pretty stacked too, actually.
Yeah, very talented running back class.
A lot of good running backs. Even the Appalachian State one. Can't say – I think it's Evans, but I like the combination of speed and power between Singletary and Moss. I love the Jake Fromm State Farm pick. I really do. I thought – honestly didn't want a backup. At the same time, it's like, if Josh Allen goes down just in case –
Hey,
would you rather?
Your backup can hang 41 on the Jets, so you don't need a backup.
Okay,
Black.
I could hang 41
Against the
Jets.
defensive genius. Against the defensive genius. If it's against the defensive genius, it's an accomplishment.
Yeah, he hung 41 on us like it was nothing.
Matt Barkley is. But if Josh Allen goes down, who would you rather in the game, Matt Barkley or Jake Fromm? Jake Fromm is a smart quarterback. No, forget the Wonderlic test. He's a smart quarterback. He's a game manager. He's one of those guys, like, he'll make throws that you'll make, and he won't. Granted, he did blow 2 games against Alabama.
Here, guys, let's take a break and come back.
Yeah,
We'll
be back in just a minute. We just noticed the timer there.
All right, Dean, head right back into your Bills analysis, please.
So, I think the Bills needed a backup, and it's better to pick a backup, better to be safe than sorry for a guy like Jake Fromm at backup. I think Jake Fromm could be a quality backup. They got a kicker, not named Rodrigo Blankenship, but I'm okay with Tyler Bass. There's actually footage of him when he kicked like a 60-yarder with just one step completely, and he kicked a 70-yarder. So, honestly, Steven Hauschka's been on a little bit of a decline. He's in a contract year. I think this is good to kind of put battle in the kicker competition. And, they get a corner the next round. The Bills really covered their needs really well. I would give them a B+ in this draft. Considering no first-round pick, they got a good power running back. They got a great defensive end, a steal in A.J. Epenza. I really love the way that Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane are building this team. Something's brewing. Something special is brewing right now in Buffalo.
Yeah, but just a question for you. With the AJ Epenza pick, when this offseason, the you could probably say with the Bills, their number one priority was defensive end. I believe they signed 3. Do you really think it was necessary to draft another one?
Quentin Jefferson could play defensive end and defensive tackle. Mario Addison is good.
He's a 10 sacks a year, Mario Addison.
And then you got Jerry Hughes, who's in a little bit of a slip and slide right now. But I think Epenza could start this. I think he could start this year. AJ Epenza has actually played a few snaps at defensive tackle. Maybe they move him to defensive tackle, pair him with Ed Oliver.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you think about the 2 receivers? Because that's one spot where they didn't really need a lot of help, but maybe just as some depth, because they did take 2 of them, which is a little surprising.
Yeah. So I was a little bit surprised when they took 2. I knew that they were going to take 1. I thought, maybe they need depth a little bit more. They need size. Well, they got size in Gabriel Davis, 6'2", and Isaiah Hodgins, 6'4". So I thought maybe this will be for size, for a red zone threat, 2 guys that are young and talented from the Pac-12 and the AAC. Gabriel Davis, who I thought was Odell Beckham when they first drafted him, but I really like that they added size and added depth to the wide receiver position to give Allen more weapons, more youth to the position.
Okay.
Who do you guys think won for the AFC East? Who do you think had the best draft?
The Bills.
Oh, Miami, not even close.
You think Miami?
I would say Miami.
Oh my God, yes.
Miami also had probably the worst individual pick of the draft, taking Tua at number 5 when they could have had Herbert or Love.
Yes.
Listen, feel free to mock me as much as you want if I'm wrong.
When he throws 40 touchdowns in his 3rd year, you'll see I'm right.
Back to this moment, Tua is not going to last 5 years in the NFL.
Overall, I thought New England had the worst in the division. I think the Jets and Bills, it's close. I don't like Aidan. I don't love Miami's draft. I don't know. For the Jets and Bills, it can go either way depending on what you prefer. Pretty much.
I just go Bills because what you said, the fact that he had no first-round pick and still had a really good draft.
Yeah. But
we forgot to talk about this, Jack. I'll ask you just quickly for the Jets. We didn't mention the fact that they did acquire an established corner in Quincy Wilson. I like that idea. What did you think?
Yeah, I liked it. I like that. Also, I find it really strange with the Jets and Colts. They're like best friends. Like they have made like 7 trades in like the last 3 years, which I don't even understand.
Hairston, Desir, and now this guy. 3.
They made the
Florida Jets.
The Darnold trade was for. With the Colts.
The Florida Jets.
But I like it. A big need was cornerback for the Jets, and we did a lot of that. With Quincy Wilson, we signed Lamar Jackson, MVP. We signed Lamar Jackson, which I like. But also,
I think Bryce Hall's going to start relatively
Bryce Hall's
soon.
another option, but also I've been saying this for weeks, and I still want it to happen. I want the Jets to sign Logan Ryan. That could be the steal of the offseason if the Jets are able to sign him and just solidify the quarterback room. If they can get Logan Ryan, I honestly think the Jets are a top 3 defense.
Lamar Jackson gets picked off by Lamar Jackson, hurdles Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Not if, when.
All right, next division. What did we like in the AFC North?
The Bengals. I love the Bengals draft.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong.
Very good draft.
The Ravens had a really good draft too. The Browns had a solid draft too, but the Bengals.
Did the Steelers
Joe
even
Burrow.
anyone? I can't think of a single pick.
Yeah,
they took a receiver early, Claypool.
Claypool's good.
Yeah,
that was a smart pick. They need a number 2.
But I love their mid-round picks. Their linebackers from Appalachian State, and I think it was Wyoming.
Yes,
Wilson,
linebacker.
Yep,
I loved what Baltimore did. I'm going to be honest. They took 2 receivers. The second one, Prochet, I don't know too much about.
He's a stud.
But Devin Duvernay, who I watched a ton at Texas, is one of my favorite players in the draft, and they got him in the 3rd round. A total steal there.
I love
Patrick Queen. I thought J.K. Dobbins, now pairing him with Ingram, is going to be a great fit. Alongside Lamar, the best rushing team in the league is now a better rushing team than a week ago. Loved what they did.
The only reason that surprised me is because Gus Edwards is a good backup. That was low. They lowballed him.
I just think it's impossible to deny that we were all excited to see, Burrow to Green. That's going to be an amazing connection.
T. Higgins.
But then they also added T. Higgins for the other side, and then they have Boyd. They have Ross if he can stay healthy. That's a really good receiving core. I am so excited to see it. That is the reason why I'm excited for that.
Who do you guys think? What 3 teams do you guys think had the best drafts?
Let's see.
You can start, Noah.
Okay. I love what Dallas did. I thought the Ravens did really well. I like the Bengals. I take Miami too. There's a lot of teams. I actually thought a lot of teams this year did really, really well.
I think Dallas.
I looked at their classes and was like, oh, they did terrible.
Dallas had the best draft. I think
Dallas did really well.
I agree.
CeeDee Lamb is the big deal. They could have 3 Pro Bowl receivers.
I think I agree. Dallas. I don't like the CeeDee Lamb pick. I think he's a great receiver, and I think he'll fit in really well. But it was not the biggest need there. I think it was my 3 would be Dallas, Cincinnati, and Minnesota.
It's funny that you say that because honestly, I think that you know what I thought the Cowboys should have done. They should have done what the Saints did. They should have taken Cesar Ruiz because they
that would have been great to see.
Travis Frederick, but also I think the biggest reason they took CeeDee Lamb was to screw over the Eagles.
But Jack, they
played it well.
The Cowboys actually did fill their center spot. They took the center from Wisconsin, Biadasz.
Yeah, and I wasn't also I agree. And I like Trayvon Diggs. That could fill the hole with Byron Jones.
Yep. Yes, definitely.
And I told this to Dean. I thought they should have gotten Xavier McKinney. I completely forgot that they signed Clinton Dix. Like I did not even remember that.
They did.
That was under the radar.
I did not even remember that.
I don't know how.
It was later on in the offseason, so people don't remember it.
It's like now they have 2 good safeties in Xavier Woods and Like I did not even remember that.
All right, so we keep going with the divisions. What do we think about the AFC South?
Is it possible to say nobody?
I loved what Jacksonville did.
The Colts.
Jacksonville had one of the best classes to me.
Jacob Eason.
Jacob Eason is the future of the Colts. Say what you want.
Yeah. I found that hilarious. So like his father is Tony Eason, but not that Tony Eason.
What did you guys think about Jonathan Taylor going to Indianapolis? I did not like that pick.
I didn't like it, but I feel like he's going to be a better player than Marlon Mack is.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
But I love the Michael Pittman pick. That Michael Pittman pick is
great pick.
Beautiful.
Great pick.
I'm going to say I loved what Jacksonville did. They got Henderson and Chason in the first round. Chason was a steal. Laviska Shenault, I've been speaking him up all draft process long. I love him. And then Colin Johnson, I've just said I love Devin Duvernay. Texas receivers to me from last year were 2 of the best and completely underrated. They got Colin Johnson really late. I love what Jacksonville did.
I agree with you. I like Colin Johnson. I think he's going to be a very under the radar.
The Jackson Colts had a good draft in the AFC South, mainly the Jags.
And of course the Houston Texans didn't. So that doesn't surprise me.
The Houston Texans had like 4 picks.
Yeah. Well, I'll trade tons at this point.
I'll trade him.
Bill O'Brien at its finest, just doing his thing.
There's one team I want to talk about, and I don't think you guys probably won't be in agreement with me as much, but I really love their draft a lot. I love the Denver Broncos draft.
Yes, they had
this draft made a sign. They are fully 100% committed to Drew Lock, and
I am so excited to see Lock this season.
Yeah, but also I found it very curious. That entire division was literally just about getting weapons, like who could keep up pace with Patrick Mahomes. I thought that was hysterical. Literally, I don't think a defender was taken in that.
Well, let me tell you, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which was a kind of a controversial pick,
I love that pick
perfectly.
That is
well, he played in the pro-style offense in LSU. Then he's going to head into one in Kansas City.
No, that is Andy Reid's new LaShawn McCoy.
Oh, my God. I'm not a big Damian Williams guy. I know he played well in the Super Bowl, which I watched some of it last night. But to put this kid over Damian Williams, oh, my goodness.
Yeah, this kid better start.
Yeah, love that pick. Yeah, you're right about the AFC West, though. Who could just get more offense and outscore everybody?
We already knew that.
I love Denver. I think Denver had the best draft in that division.
I agree.
We already knew the NFC West was going to be one of the most competitive divisions, or the most competitive division in the NFL. The AFC West after this draft is definitely,
I wouldn't be shocked if the Broncos make the play. The Broncos will be competing for a playoff spot next year for a fact.
Yeah. Also, they took a good cornerback, right? What was his name?
But here's the thing. I mean, this draft to me kind of solidified. I think that it's going to be so interesting. I think the Chiefs are still the best team in that division, no doubt.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. But I think Denver's going to put up a fight.
Even the Chargers had a solid draft, their first round picks.
There are 3 other teams in that division that all have really fast receivers. They all have young offenses, and that's what you need to beat the Chiefs.
Yep.
So in the next few years, we could see any one of the 4 of those teams making it to the playoffs or winning.
Drew Lock last year, in the little amount of time he played, he really impressed me. He blew out 2 playoff teams, which I found very impressive. Yeah. And now they got him a bunch of weapons. They're going to have Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. Who was the other receiver they drafted?
KJ Hamler.
Yeah.
Hamler.
They have a great depth at running back. Philip Lindsay, Melvin Gordon, and Royce Freeman, who I still think they should trade.
They got the Missouri tight end. Who's
I was going to say they took his college tight end for Locke, so now they really committed to him.
That was great. They got him a new center, which that was good pick. Their defense, I mean, I still think it could be good if Bradley Chubb can stay healthy. And I like AJ Boye. They filled the need there, so it's going to be interesting.
Definitely.
What did you guys think about the NFC? I know we talked about the Cowboys probably winning in the NFC East, but what about in the NFC North?
The Vikings,
no doubt, yeah.
Minnesota utilized all their assets perfectly, and the gap is closing. Minnesota is on Green Bay's heels. Minnesota could even take the division next year.
Minnesota is just a franchise quarterback away from being.
It all depends on Cousins.
It depends on that man right there.
It's like Cousins is a good quarterback, but he is not a franchise quarterback. He's not like he might be the worst starting quarterback in that division, and yes, I am putting him below Mitch Trubisky.
No.
That's
my
no way.
Like Kirk Cousins last year, as much as we bash him
below Stafford and Rodgers.
Kirk Cousins, as much as we bash him, I remember last year, I think Zach Brown was the guy who called him out and said they're not going to win because they're quarterback. He completely stepped up at that point. He was good enough to make the Pro Bowl, and he did win a play. He beat you guys. You can't say he didn't.
He did beat us, but also our offense just decided not to show up that day. So
Kirk Cousins had 26 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions last year.
He had a great season.
He was really good.
That was his best year, in my opinion.
And he did win some primetime games, so you got to give him credit where it's due. I think he silenced his critics.
Now, can we mention one of the weirdest picks, and it comes from the NFC North? Cole Kmet to the Bears. How many tight ends did that team
10
need?
tight ends on the Chicago Bears.
Yeah,
I like Cole Kmet, but I feel like he would have fit better on a team like the New England Patriots.
It's like Jimmy Graham. Now this guy, they have Demetrius Harris. They took a kid, Shaheen, a couple years ago in the second round. It's like, how many tight ends can you possibly have?
Jimmy Graham will not be good till he goes back to the Saints. Drew Brees is the only guy he's ever been good with.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But also, staying in that division, I think the Lions had the worst draft out of any team. I think they had one of the worst drafts.
Packers.
Jeff Okuda's great.
But I think they need to, especially Matt Patricia. I think his job's on the line. Their problem really hasn't been defense. I think it's more offense. I think they should have done everything in their power to get talent around Stafford. He only has really one receiver.
Definitely should have traded down and gotten an O-lineman.
He's gotten hurt the last 2 years. Like, I think you got to protect the quarterback. You need your starter. That's the reason they're not winning.
Okay.
That's just my.
What do we think about the NFC South?
Biased me wants to say the Saints, but at the same time, I also know the Saints definitely did not have the best draft. You can't have the best draft with just 4 picks.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they didn't make any bad picks. You know?
I like the Bucs draft.
Probably Tampa Bay honestly had the best draft.
I feel like it's got to be Tampa. They gave Brady some protection. That's the big.
I like that the Panthers went all defense. I like that.
I did not like the Falcons draft.
AJ Terrell.
I thought like you said, Aidan, the Buccaneers. I mean, Antoine Winfield in the second round. I think he's going to be an impact safety.
Such an underrated player.
Yeah.
And they got really lucky because most people had Tristan Wirfs as the number 1 tackle, and he was the last one of the top 4 taken, and they got him. So that was impressive.
That was that happened a lot this draft with a lot of positions. Like CD Lamb was the one receiver, and he was taken 3rd in the first round out of receivers. Henry Ruggs should have been last. He went first.
Yeah. They also got an underrated running back, which they actually almost traded for Leonard Fournette in that draft, but instead decided to go with Keyshawn Vaughn, who's a solid running back from Vanderbilt.
A lot of my friends have been saying that they think Ruggs is the best receiver in the draft, and I don't know why they think that.
Yeah, I think it's CD.
Wasn't even the best on his own college team.
I think it's Jerry Jeudy. I think he's personally, I think he's the best.
CD.
Yeah. But also, I thought the Falcons in that division had the worst draft, only because they made good picks that are going to help them for the future. But with Dan Quinn's job I think it's on the line, and especially they've kind of been underwhelming the past couple of years. I thought they would have done more win now moves, like Matt Hennessy. What's the point in doing that when you have Alex Mack probably for another 2 years? And
That's
I also,
understandable.
it annoys me a little more because I wanted the Jets to get him. And of course, right when I said that, I knew he was going to get taken. And he was. But I don't know. I just don't like their draft. I didn't think they did enough to help their defense pretty much. And they made a couple like picks that are more towards the future and
Yeah,
not
totally.
right now.
And then last division, what do we think about the NFC West? Personally, I loved what Arizona did. Maybe the steal of the draft in Josh Jones to play tackle.
No, let me tell you something. The team that had the best draft in that division is the LA Rams because they got my hometown boy, Jordan Fuller, future stud,
Of course.
next Brian Dawkins. Oh, just put the Hall of Fame
Okay.
up. Last state title.
I gotta agree with Arizona there. I mean, part of me wants to say the Niners, but I don't really have anything to back that up.
Same.
One thing the Niners did well that I really like, the Trent Williams trade. That was great that they
was-
got.
They made 3 big trades. I like all of them.
Yeah, Staley informed them he's probably going to retire due to health. They completely filled that need right away.
Yep.
And they got Williams out of the terrible situation that he was in.
Also,
Dan
did
Snyder.
this surprise you, the Matt Breida trade? That really stunned me.
That
No,
did a bit.
He didn't play a lot last year, so I don't know.
he was the
I
odd man.
like
He
him.
was the
I
odd
think-
man out.
Breida
Yeah.
came in as like the second back and exited as the third.
Yeah, like his rookie year, didn't he lead the league on like your average yards per carry with like
They
5.1?
didn't need him, and they got some good.
They're invested in Mostert now, and then Coleman's the third down back. But Breida, I thought was supposed to be the guy, but hopefully he can work it out in Miami. That'd be good.
To me, the most
I-
important
I
though was
think
getting
it
Ayuk
better
to
for
be the
Miami
second.
than it was for San
Yeah,
Francisco.
agree with that.
I didn't like
Miami needed a running back.
the Seahawks didn't have that good of a draft. It surprises me that Seahawks kind of stay consistent despite Russell Wilson, considering they don't ever since the Wilson draft that they haven't done too well in those drafts, and considering DK Metcalf was a good pick last year, and despite the fact that if you look at free agency, you don't see their name pop up as much.
Yeah. The only reason they're going to
They
do
always draft well. They always do.
they always draft decent. They never draft any bust. Even if they don't draft Pro Bowlers, they always draft guys that are solid NFL players. But like you said, the reason they're always going to be fine is because they have Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll are holding it together.
The guy has not had one losing. The guy hasn't even had one 500 season. The worst he's ever done is 9-7.
And I think you also have to remember that at this point the Seahawks are a little bit unsure of where they are because of the fact that Jadeveon Clowney's still out there. So they don't really know exactly what their needs are yet because they don't know if that position is going to get filled. So maybe they would have looked to take a defensive player at that position earlier, but obviously they don't know if they're going to sign him or not.
But also, when it comes to the Seahawks, I think they have one of the most underrated offenses in general. Besides their O-line, I mean, Chris Carson was very good. Didn't he run for like 1,200 yards? And honestly, I think there would have been a huge difference if he was in that playoff game against the Packers instead of Marshawn Lynch, who like just came back out of nowhere. So I think he's a big difference. But like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are both number one guys, and hopefully he can come back to 100%. I loved him last year, and he was on my fantasy team. Their tight end Will Dissly, he was very good, and if he can recover and be as good as he was, then Russell Wilson's got a ton of playmakers.
Yep.
It's going to be an interesting season.
This was like, I feel like this was the
Hopefully
first draft where I felt like almost every team had a good draft.
Yeah.
Except the Packers.
Yeah. Oh, Eagles too, I
Oh.
think.
But also, like all the teams that like you question the picks, like they're not bad players. It's just like
Rager's not bad, but they could have got better in Jefferson. They could have even traded up with the Falcons, which there was a report that the Eagles were going to trade up with the Falcons to acquire Lamb, but they didn't.
I don't want to compare this, but like people like Jordan Love was like always ranked as a first round talent. Like he was good enough to be in the first round, but like it's not like that pick. It's not like I don't consider it like bad. Like in the same reaction, like the Daniel Jones pick got when it was like blatantly obvious. Like you're still getting a first round talent out of it. Like that's
Yeah, but you're not getting a guy that's going to help you win now, and that's the thing. They were 13-3 last year,
And he's not going to want to sit for like 3 or 4 years. He's going to want to start right now.
It's, you're a team that's looking to win now with very many holes that need to be filled.
I agree with
And
that.
they decided to start building for the future now, which I still think it's a sign of things to come.
But also, Aidan, I have a question for you because I remember you saying this earlier on a while back, at least a couple times. You've been on record saying that you think the Packers last year were the fakest 13-3 team there ever was.
Me?
Maybe they're acting like as if they were.
Yes. I
think they were, yeah.
I think that
But they could have been a stronger 13-3 team if they had a second receiver to pair with Devontae Adams.
I think they were the worst
think you're
second
wrong.
seed.
I'm looking at it from their perspective.
Team in the NFC to make the playoffs last year. I mean, they were just ahead of the Vikings. I think that the Saints had a terrible game against the Vikings. I know they did not look good, but I just don't think that the Packers won. They got lucky and they looked horrible when they lost. They didn't lose with dignity. They got embarrassed.
Got their butts kicked. The
quarterback second time.
Jimmy Garoppolo had to throw the ball 6 times. I think that says enough.
And they scraped by in a lot of their wins. That game against Minnesota at the end of the season to win the division.
You can't call it scraped along because that's what makes a championship team a championship
to win that game.
Tight games.
Let me just make this one point. I feel like there are certain teams in the NFL that when you look at them, they're very consistent with the fact that they don't want to have drama. The teams like the Cleveland Browns and New York Jets, they love to have drama, and that's all they do when they lose. But there are a lot of teams out there that are consistently just together, united. Teams like Baltimore. Baltimore always wins. Seattle, they're always united. There's never any real drama that comes out of there. They win. Green Bay is usually like that. And this pick to me is, on top of the fact that it's unfair and all the other stuff, it's drama waiting to happen.
Yes.
And I don't understand why you would want to put yourself in that position. It doesn't make any sense. You're in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's not a big market. You're supposed to keep a happy fan base that's supposed to win a lot and win championships. That's why you have 6 Super Bowls, as the Packers do. Why are you putting yourself in a position where a guy who can be moody in Aaron Rodgers, you're putting him in a spot where he needs to be moody because you didn't do anything to help him in the first place?
Yeah, I'm agree with you that all those points are valid, but you got to look at it this way. What do scouts always say, and everybody says? If you think you found a quarterback of the future that could be your franchise guy, you go get him. So if that's what he thought, I'm not against it.
But is it worth waiting him or letting him sit for 5 years?
I don't know.
He's not going to want that.
Was it worth sitting Aaron Rodgers for 5 years? He shouldn't have sit at all. But that's how it works. Aaron Rodgers
not now anymore. We're in a different time, Jack.
Not to a first rounder, it shouldn't work.
We were supposed to sit. Josh, let me just Dean for a second. Josh Allen was supposed to sit for the first however long in his first season. He only sat a half.
Yeah, well, it's not my fault they traded A.J. McCarron.
I'm just.
No, it's also because Peterman sucks.
Yeah.
I'm just making the point that you even said this a few episodes ago, Jack. The way to win now, to win Super Bowls, is to draft a quarterback, put him out there early, and then put a Super Bowl roster around him while he's still cheap. Now you can't even do that because he's not even going to be playing for the first 3 years, and you won't even know if he's your franchise guy by the time you're supposed to pay him. It just the timeline doesn't
But then you don't have to pay him that much.
You can say the same with even Baker Mayfield.
Aaron Rodgers' first contract wasn't a giant contract. He got a minimum, not minimum, but mid-average salary before he proved he was worth what he was worth.
Who is the last great quarterback to have sat more than a full season before starting?
I don't want to call him great, but I want to call him good, and I think he's approaching great. I think is Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, he didn't have a great season, but he sat for 3 years. He led his first full year as a starter. He led his team to the Super Bowl. You can't say he didn't.
Okay, and you think he's very good, Jack, but he's not Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And that's the argument. That's the flaw in this argument that Jordan Love and Dean, as much as you may love him, you know in your heart that there is a 0.0001% chance.
I said, listen to me. I said this to you, but after the pick. I don't think he's the next Aaron Rodgers, and I said this to you.
I agree with you.
Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love is not the next Aaron Rodgers, no. But do I think he's going to be good? Yes. I think the kid's very talented. I think he's got the big arm and mobility. But the thing is with Packer fans, I think I said this to you, Jack, as long as if he's not the next Aaron Rodgers, or let alone if he's not even the next Patrick Mahomes, Packer fans won't care. It's one of those. It's Aaron Rodgers or bust for Jordan Love.
Looking at this the wrong way. You act like Packers fans are going to be calling for at first I think they'll call for his head, but once if he can prove he can play. But I'm just saying, Steve Young, for example, everyone knew Steve Young was never going to be Joe Montana, but he's still a very good quarterback who had a hell of a career.
But I don't think Jordan Love will be Steve Young. I mean, that's just me. Maybe I don't like the kid as much as you guys do, but he's not going to be worth this pick for this team who was in this position to win a Super Bowl.
If it was another team, I feel like it would have been better off for Jordan Love. Like I said,
I'm not saying he's going to be Steve Young. I'm not saying he's going to be Aaron Rodgers, but he could still be a very good quarterback.
I agree, Jack. Yes.
Like
That
Packers fans
doesn't mean he's worthy of this pick for this team. It's just that simple.
I don't think there's a single team that he was a worse fit for, except for maybe the Steelers. The Steelers are the only other team that are kind of in a similar situation right now.
But also, the biggest thing about how this is going to turn out, well, at least for now, the first couple seasons, is how Aaron Rodgers is going to react to it. It's already been seen that Aaron Rodgers, he called him and congratulated him. Especially Aaron Rodgers has gone through this where he's been the guy waiting to play and he's had a lot of scrutiny. I don't think he's going to be the kind of guy who's going to because he's been in Jordan Love's shoes, so I don't think he's going to act the way Brett Favre acted toward him.
He may not act badly to
He might
Jordan
not show
Love.
it,
That's
but he
not the
knows
problem.
it.
He may act badly to Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, well, they've already been feuding. Everyone knows that.
Right. So what do you think is going to happen, Jack? The first time the Packers lose a game this year because he throws the ball 10 times to Devontae Adams, who gets 8 catches for $160, and the other receivers combined have 4 catches for 25 yards. At that point,
last year,
all he can do is blame Matt LaFleur because he didn't get him another receiver.
He did that all of last year, and it resulted in a 13-3 record. I admit they should have done a pick. I'm not saying that you don't have valid point, but I'm saying I'm looking at it from the Packers' perspective. That's why I'm not so against this pick. Do they need help? Do they still have tons of holes? Yes, but maybe they could. I don't know. Maybe they'll have a guy that develops. You never know.
I think we should.
Like last year, a big thing. Like Geronimo Allison. I think he's a solid guy, but he couldn't stay healthy all last year. He's a decent, solid receiver.
He's in Detroit.
He left. Oh,
yeah.
Never mind.
Eat it, Jack.
It is what it is.
I give you that one.
We're gonna have to see what happens once Jordan Love steps on the field. It doesn't matter if it's this year, next year, whatever. It's whenever his time comes.
Yeah.
That's when we're gonna see the real Jordan Love.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for the kid. I hope he does well. I'm just saying, in this position with the team he got drafted by, it just makes almost no sense.
Oh no, I understand.
No,
you said it before too. You have nothing against Jordan Love. I know that. It's just the team that he's stepping into. I said this to you too. I don't like that he's stepping into the scenario. I would have rather him on the Colts or even the Jags or the Raiders. I would have rather had Jordan Love on. But he's not gonna want to sit for 3 years, 5 years. He's a first-round talent, and a first-round talent at quarterback.
No quarterback ever
could never want this.
No quarterback ever wants to sit. Like, you think Pat Mahomes wanted to sit a full year?
No, not at all.
But this guy's not sitting for 1 year.
But this is different.
I'm going to say about this whole Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. When Aaron Rodgers was drafted, all Packers fans went crazy. How are they reacting now? They wouldn't have it any other way. So let's just wait and see how this plays out.
Fine, we'll wait. But I will be angry about it till the day this kid becomes the next Aaron Rodgers.
That's not saying
you sound like a Packer fan yourself, Noah.
Yeah.
I love Aaron Rodgers. He's my favorite all-time quarterback outside of a Jet.
I love Aaron Rodgers, too.
Me too. Thank you.
I think he's the most pure, talented quarterback there ever was.
I disagree with that statement.
Here comes Aidan.
We love Drew. We get it.
Listen up here.
Aaron Rodgers can do everything.
Everything. Therefore, he is better.
You can't say this. There's nothing Aaron Rodgers can do that Drew Brees can't, and he can run. There's no argument against that.
Except Drew Brees is a better passer. There's a reason he has more touchdowns, more completions.
Okay, you realize he started 7 years earlier. You realize that also, right? Aaron Rodgers can take his first snaps in 2008.
Tell me about completion percentage. Tell me about single season completion percentage, career completion percentage.
Who won MVP over the other?
Who deserved MVP over the other?
And in 2011,
Drew Brees even has a better chance to win a Super Bowl than Aaron Rodgers right now.
That is ridiculous.
What? Say that again?
I said, why are we arguing about Drew Brees versus Aaron Rodgers? We're supposed to be arguing about Jordan Love versus Aaron Rodgers right now.
This is fun. I don't know.
I will fight. I don't care. I don't care who we're arguing about. I will always argue against Aaron Rodgers. I will
fight for Jordan Love.
I agree with you. Drew Brees is the most accurate passer of all time. I'm not going to say he's not.
Me too.
Yes. But in terms of pure talent, I just think Aaron Rodgers is the most pure talented quarterback of all time.
Aaron Rodgers gets lucky, and he never throws the ball.
Just last season. What are you talking about? He's had 3 years. He's had 40 touchdowns.
4,000 yards last year, Aidan.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4,000.
He's had 6 interceptions in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Because he never throws it.
Okay, well, it's better than Jameis throwing 30 of them because he does throw it.
That's true.
It's okay. He'll do better under his LASIK eye surgery.
Wait, I have a question for you. Who's better, Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers, not even close.
I want Aidan's opinion.
I want to say Brett Favre.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
I
God.
know you want to yell at me.
No, I'm just curious.
I'm a stats guy. I put stats first. I think raw statistics are the most important thing a quarterback can have. Brett Favre has better raw statistics.
Okay, whatever. Well,
Fair enough. There's arguments to both sides. I'll give it to you.
I love how we just stop arguing about Jordan Love and then in comes Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees.
Well, we said most pure talented quarterback, so then he had to get Drew in there.
I have to defend my man. He's
I respect the fandom. I respect staying
if we're
true
gonna
to your quarterback.
how the heck did we not have Patrick Mahomes in there as a three-way argument?
okay. You can't.
Yeah, let's give him the whole career.
Conversation
Not yet.
Give him
Not
10
yet.
seasons,
Not
and
yet.
we can talk.
All right, okay.
Also, the last thing I want to say, I know me, Dean, and Aidan, we can all agree we don't like the Tua pick.
Yes.
No.
I know Aidan thinks he's a
Justin
bust.
Herbert's the man.
We'll see.
Dean, do you think Tua's a bust?
Yes, and I'm not saying it because of his play. I think it's because of injuries. The man, I always look at him even now like this man's one or two big hits away from just crippling. And not only that, other than Alabama quarterbacks adjusting to NFL. Now, don't get me wrong. Tua Tagovailoa is different from those Bama guys, of course.
Yeah.
But Bama isn't a quarterback factory, and I don't know if Tua fits in Miami. I like guys like Joe Burrow better, Justin Herbert better,
I like Herbert better.
Jordan Love. Even Jacob Eason in Indianapolis I like better than this.
But also, I want to say this about Tua. I think he's going to be bust, but he's not going to be like the kind of bust where you know right away. I think he's going to kind of be like a Josh Freeman bust. Like, he's going to look very promising to start, and then it's just all going to collapse.
I like that. Yep.
Does everyone agree with me on that?
I agree.
I agree.
Kind of like Mark Sanchez as well. Like Mark Sanchez, Josh Freeman, who else?
No, Jack, I'll say this. If he ends up busting, it will be because he'll have a type of season like an RG3 will have, and then he will hurt himself and he'll never be the same. It won't be because he's just terrible.
I don't think he's terrible. I just think injuries are going to cripple him.
I've hated Mike Shanahan.
Well, it won't happen.
I've hated Mike Shanahan since then.
Did you see?
First of all, I don't trust the other teams in the AFC East right now, especially with, like I said, New England fading and Buffalo's still inexperienced and the Jets are just a mess. I think Miami can definitely win the division. Not this year, but the year after. They could win the division. They've got all the ability in the world.
You think the Jets are still an absolute mess? Like I said, so far this offseason, I think they've done everything right. The only thing they got to fix is Jamal. They just got to get Jamal Adams' extension. I think they've done pretty much a lot of everything the right way.
Okay, maybe they've done some things the right way, but if the last decade is any indication, then they're a mess. And Adam Gase is the head coach. And unless Adam Gase isn't the head coach, they're not winning.
Yes, but you can't say this offseason. I think they've had a very good offseason in general with the free agency. And,
it would have been the best offseason if Adam Gase was fired, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, well, next year, kid.
I think we got to wrap this up.
We're gonna go. No, I'm predicting right now. We're gonna go 6-10. Then he gets fired. We get hopefully a decent coach in, and then we make the playoffs.
Okay, I hope so.
You heard it here first.
Okay.
I hope not, but.
All right, we'll be back with another episode probably later this week or next week. We'll probably discuss a lot of The Last Dance with the Michael Jordan documentary, and maybe sports will be closer to being back when we do our next show. So hopefully that's the case, and we'll see you guys later. Thanks for listening.
Of course.
Peace.
Hey, boys.